Hi everyone, today we'll be looking at what are the actual steps to take when buying land in Kenya. This is Money Wise with Rina Hicks, where we create, grow and preserve wealth. So Solomon, the question that I have today is, what are the steps in the process of land ownership in Kenya?
Okay.
Where do I begin? What do I need to make sure I go through all the way to the end, to the time that I actually have a title deed in my hands?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, there are several steps to follow, legal steps that is, and that will largely depend on whether or not you're buying agricultural land or commercial land or residential land. The processes are different, right? So I'm going to cover mostly the steps that have to do with agricultural land or freehold land, right? So the first thing, as we mentioned before, is you need to have a goal. You need to know how much money do you have to invest, how much have you saved, how much capital can you access if you're going to take a loan, and so on, because that will determine where to look for land. For example, if I only have, say, 5 million shillings to invest, I know I'm not going to waste my time looking for land in Westlands. Right?
Yes.
It sounds silly, but it's an important step. That's the first thing. And then you also have to decide, am I investing to sell later, or am I going to keep it until my kids go off to college, or do I want to build on it later, and so on.
Why does that matter? Well, I mean, the length of time I'm going to keep the piece of land, why does that matter?
Well, it matters because some areas will not be viable for short-term action. Some places are very undeveloped. Nothing is going to happen significantly to change the value of the place in the immediate term, and therefore you might need to wait 10 years to sell.
Oh, okay.
Right? As opposed to 3 or 5, if that was your goal. So it's very important to think about what your specific goal is, because that will determine where you spend time looking. And that's the second step, which we call land scouting. You need to spend time in those particular places looking for land yourself, or find a reliable agent or a referral and know where to look for land.
Okay.
Look at as many as you can, because that will give you an idea what the different prices are, a different terrain. You might like one and not like the other, so scouting is very important, and that's the second step.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. And thirdly, once you've identified the piece of land you want to buy, you need to have a reliable and licensed legal practitioner. In other words, a lawyer or attorney. They need to be a high court appointed attorney. There are very many quirks out there purporting to be lawyers, and it's a simple thing to confirm. Simply ask them for their license number.
Okay. And then what do I do with the license number once I get it?
Well, it's very easy to confirm whether or not they are licensed by the board. You can go to LSK and present the number, and they'll tell you whether or not their license is still valid or it's been revoked because of one reason or the other.
Okay.
Right.
So I have the money, I have my goal, I have the lawyer. What next do I do?
Once you have the lawyer, you'll need to determine what price you're going to pay, and that usually involves some negotiation with the landowner. So you need to get good at negotiating. As we always say at Goshen Acquisitions, you make money when you buy, not when you sell. So you need to get very good at negotiating. And the way you make money when you buy is to buy below market rate, or buy in the right location at the right time before things change. Right? So that would be step number 4.
But unless I'm a clairvoyant, I mean, really, how do I know this is the right location, this is the right time, things are about to change? How do I analyze the market?
Sure.
How do I analyze circumstances so that I know this is the right time to get in?
Well, this is why we mentioned before that you need to be proactive about educating yourself on what areas are good for investment. And if you're going to spend time scouting yourself especially, you will get a sense for these things. There is no shortcut. Sometimes you can rely on advice or an instruction from a trusted source, whether it's your mom, your dad, investment advisor, someone who knows what they're talking about. That could go a long way as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then after that, what do I do?
So I believe step number 5 is, once you've negotiated the price, you'll pay a deposit. By the laws of Kenya, you have to pay at least 10% and sign a sale agreement. Sale agreement has to be prepared by a legal practitioner. You can't do it on your own. It is possible for you and I to simply write a simple agreement and sign and not have a lawyer involved. The problem with that is if you and I have a disagreement of any kind, or God forbid, I pass on in the middle of the transaction, what happens?
Yeah.
There's all sorts of loopholes and problems that could crop up if you don't have a lawyer involved. So each side of the transaction has to have a lawyer involved.
Different lawyers. You have your lawyer. I
Never
have
share lawyers.
Okay.
Have your own lawyer and let the seller have their lawyer. Or if you're selling, same thing. Have your lawyer and have the buyer present their lawyer.
Wow. Okay, we're going to stop there because this is great stuff and I don't want people to get tired. And I need them to concentrate and understand the different aspects and different steps they must absolutely take when buying land or property. This is Money Wise with Rina Hicks, where we create, grow, and preserve wealth.